Ooh, on the WhatsApp line, someone says, "Hi Clement, I know that road very well. It is steep with frequent bends. There's no lighting, even on blind bends. It is highly dangerous. Accidents happen regularly. My condolences to all of those involved in this accident. But honestly, just as a ship captain needs a pilot when they exit a port, truck and bus drivers need an experienced pilot on that stretch of road." Particularly at night. Yeah, it looks like it's been, yeah, it's a road because a lot of people have been sharing, their experiences around the road and having driven past it. And it looks like it is a road that's known for that. It's just so tragic. 40 people killed in one accident, including a 10-month-old. It's just so tragic. Another message on the WhatsApp line says, Clement, one thing for sure is that after this testimony, we will know more about the motives of General Shadrach. What? Motives of Ntantlam Kwanazi, Masemola, and Kumalo. That's a message there from Anonymous on the WhatsApp line. What do you mean about the motives? And of course, what I said, what's actually have been anticipated is that, of course, Shadrach Sibia has his own allegations that he's going to place. Remember, after that 6th of July press conference, he started doing media interviews. In fact, he spoke immediately after that press briefing, and he went and said, well, there are allegations against, what's his name? General Kumalo himself that he wants to put up. So I wonder what those are going to be. And of course, questions, and legitimately so, questions will arise. Why have you not said anything about these? Why did you wait to bring them up when there's a lot being exposed about you? But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the stuff that you put aside and you don't consider. But you've got to ask legitimate questions of how serious are you about ensuring that there's justice when, if truly there are serious allegations against these people, as this WhatsApp this listener on the WhatsApp line suggests, if seriously there are serious allegations here against whether it's Kumalo, who was the head of crime intelligence, or Fanima Semola, the national commissioner, or General Mkwanazi, what have you done about it? Because at least we're hearing from Fanima Semola, who says, I've tried to speak to the president. I tried to speak to the minister about the issue of the disbandment of the political killing stars team. So Shadrach Sibia must also be able to say, this is how I've tried to put this matter forward. And I failed, at the very least. But it's going to be very, very fascinating because this is a man who's been put at the center of the allegations of the criminal justice system being compromised. Your WhatsApps on 072 702 1702.
Hi, morning, Clement. Morning, this is Bati from Qabecha, man. Quick one, Clement. Regarding Shadrach Sibia appearance in Parliament today. One question that I would like the parliamentarians to ask him was, what did he mean when he said that he does not deal with Christians? He's not a priest. He deals with criminals. Can he expatiate that further as to what did he mean? Does he mean he benefits from the criminal syndicates, or is the criminal syndicate his friends, or is he doing what he's supposed to do, arresting them and putting them behind the bars? He must just explain to us what did he mean. Thank you.
I started thinking about roads and whether roads can be too dangerous or not. Two factors here are involved. One, the vehicle itself, is it roadworthy or not? Number two, the person operating the vehicle, i.e. the driver. So those two factors are very, very important. So I'm not in any way suggesting that there was anything wrong with the bus or the driver, but I'm just putting out there. Thanks very much, Clement. Tabo, my friend.
Yeah, look, Tabo, that's what the police, I'm sure, are going through now. The roadworthiness of that bus, a lot more things to consider. On the WhatsApp line, Wamafu says, "Good morning, Clement and the team. Happy Monday. I would like to hear from Sibia. I want to hear him answer. As he answer, I want to check his demeanor towards the removal of the case dockets to his office, and how does he know Brown Bohotsi?" Yeah, the issue of the removal of the dockets was quite a key one. Again, as you heard from the clip I played, Jerome Konazi says, "I told the National Commissioner, did you authorize the removal of these dockets?" And he said, "No, I didn't." And Konazi said, "I asked the National Commissioner to put that in an affidavit under oath." And as soon as he did that, then that's when he knew that we've got a case here against Shadrach Sibia, because what gave him the authority then to demand or ask for the dockets to be transferred to national office when the National Police Commissioner himself never authorized that? So how he explains that will be of interest.
Hi, Clement. It's Anonymous in Westland. I think the issue of the dismantlement of the political killing team, we are not going to get closure into that issue because there are many people with different roles involved in that particular matter. And as well, and I will blame you, you will blame the third person, and the other person will blame the fourth person. So they are going to play duck and dive up until the matter is, it's put to sleep, so to say.
Good day, Clement. Good day, 72 lenders. Abraham in Florida. Clement, in all honesty, our officials have let us down. That road in Musina, between Louis Trichat and Musina, leading to Bait Bridge, that road needs vehicles that are roadworthy and that don't carry such huge amount of loads. When not Clement, if you have seen how big the loads that are carried by those vehicles, you would be shocked when not Clement. And to consider how steep that place is and how it twists and turns, Clement, you wouldn't allow such vehicles. You'd have officials actually monitoring these roads. But to my surprise, you would find that that car had left from Cape Town or from PE up to Musina with that heavy load that it's carrying, and it's allowed.
Hi, Clement. How are you? Clement, I think the permit to operate on the roads should be adjusted. Gqeberha to Harare is too long for one bus. I think it should be Gqeberha to Johannesburg, then to Harare. They mustn't issue permits that because that distance is so long, and that part of the road where there was an accident, it needs careful driving. And by the time they get there, they're tired. So they must adjust those permits.
Yeah. Also, how does it work, guys? How far is it from Gqeberha to? I've never driven between, like, from Gqeberha to Johannesburg, or Johannesburg to PE, but I would imagine we're looking at about 7. Huh? I mean, with a normal car, you'd look about 7, right? 7 hours or so. With a bus, that's pretty long. So when you get to Joburg, does the bus stop? Does anybody know if these buses that are from Gqeberha to Zimbabwe, Harare, when they get to Johannesburg, is there like an exchange of bus drivers where this one has driven the first leg and then now let's get the next one to do the second leg? Because I'd imagine you don't have one driver driving just consistently from Gqeberha all the way to Zimbabwe, Harare, and there's no break and nobody is relieving them. How does it work? Because that's another how many hours from Johannesburg to Harare in Zimbabwe? I mean, you're looking at over probably about 6. From Joburg to Zimbabwe. I mean, is it that short? I know Botswana, you're looking at about 5 hours. 4.5 to 5 hours when you're leaving Johannesburg. But with Harare, I would imagine just over 5 hours. But I'm more interested in what this listener is raising is the permit need to be reviewed, because Gqeberha to Harare is far too long for there to be just one driver. So I'm asking, do you know if there's one driver? And is there a system that works where when you reach Johannesburg, then you change. There's another driver that comes through to continue the second leg of that trip, because I do think it's irresponsible and impractical to be expecting a driver to leave Gqeberha and the next time that these people get to their destination is Harare, and they haven't had time during that trip to rest or have someone take over the driving for maybe a couple of hours. Yeah, that sounds weird. Talent on the WhatsApp line says, Clement, Park Station to Harare is about 18 hours on a bus. Can you imagine then Gqeberha to Joburg? How many hours is that? And then you still have another 18 hours. Sure.
Clement, from Johannesburg to Gqeberha, by car, Clement, it's over 10 hours.
Yeah.
Over 10 hours by car. By bus, it's over 12 hours. So, yeah, no, it's far, Clement.
That's even worse. I thought it's about at the very, like about 8. So if it's over 10 hours and that's you driving in your car, the bus then is much longer. We're looking at about 12 hours. So when you reach Johannesburg then, what's the plan for the drivers? Does somebody else get onto the driver's seat? Is there only one driver for a bus like that? Do they allow for 2 hours for the driver to rest before they get on the next leg of the trip from Joburg to Harare?
Yeah, morning, Clement. Yeah, you see, if you are traveling from Zimbabwe to Johannesburg, they've got 2 drivers. And then if you are going to Cape Town, I think there's 2 or 3 drivers that are driving there. But it depends with the company, because some companies, they are so great, they just use 2 drivers only from that side to Zimbabwe or Malawi. And these buses mostly, they are not in a good condition. I'm telling you, my man. I know those buses, they are not in a good condition. They just take those trips because they want money. Because there are few buses that go from Zimbabwe to Cape Town or Malawi. That's the thing. Thank you.
Yeah. So, I also getting a lot of messages from people who are saying normally there are a number of drivers, which at least gives me some comfort. So you don't only have one driver who would drive on their own. Normally there's 2 or 3 drivers. But someone else on the WhatsApp line says, Clement, those buses are not allowed even into Johannesburg. The taxi associations give them hard time. Instead, they only use the N1. If they get into or to the M1, they are in trouble. They might have about 3 or 2 drivers, but the bus itself gets overwhelmed. But it's good to know that there are a few drivers then that at least can assist with the driving. I just think it's crazy to be expecting one person to be driving for that long. Of course, that person is going to fall asleep at some point. But again, the question needs to be asked around the standard and the standard and the roadworthiness of these buses. It's so sad that every time we talk about the roadworthiness of these kinds of modes of transport when there are so many people that have died, eh? Yeah, it's quite sad. 40 people, including a 10-month-old baby.
I drove from PE to Spruitview. I think it took me 10 hours. Yeah, I think it's 10 hours. With a normal speed, 120, 100, 120. And another thing, even if you've got 3 drivers, if you're sitting in the car or in the bus, you get tired. If you have to relieve another driver and you're tired too, really doesn't make sense. And driving at night is even worse because you can't even see properly. That's Veronica from Spruitview. Bye-bye.
Yeah, and that's why I thought maybe what happens is, when you get to Johannesburg after that first leg, isn't it best then to have another driver who's based here maybe take over because they've rested? They were also not sitting in a vehicle, because you're right, you're still tired, even if you're not driving and you're sitting in that bus. So I thought that normally what happens is they get somebody else to take over from Johannesburg, but clearly that's not the case.
Hi, Clement. Yeah, I see you don't quite have a grasp on those distances. From Gqeberha to Joburg, you look at about 12-hour drive. It's 1,000 odd kilometers, so 10 to 12 hours by bus. And then from Johannesburg to Bulawayo, it's also 12, depending on conditions on the road and at the border, it can be up to 16 hours.
Oh my goodness.
So Johannesburg to Harare, it's a little bit more. It should be also roughly 16 hours.
Hectic.
It may be more depending on the conditions at the border. So that's how long that trip would take. So from Gqeberha all the way to Harare, I think you're looking at 24 hours.
Yeah, that's hectic.
On the road driving by bus, maybe more.
Mm. Yeah, that's...
Morning, Clement. Morning, Clement. How are you? These buses would have maybe 2 drivers, but it doesn't stop in Joburg. It doesn't stop in Joburg. And remember, these buses don't have beds. So as much as there are 2 drivers, when the other driver is driving, the other one is seated as well. So he's as tired as the one who's driving. So when his turn comes to drive, he's just as tired as this one who was driving. They should just stop in Joburg for maybe a day or so and rest and carry on the following day to avoid all this.
Yeah, but sometimes it's us, right, who are being transported, and we want to get home soon. So I mean, how many of us would be willing as passengers to leave Gqeberha and get to Johannesburg, and then you get told that, well, we want the driver to rest, we'll leave the next day? What does that mean for us? Where are we spending the night? You know, there may be additional costs here for other people. Other people are taking that bus because they're trying to get home within a day or a day and a half at the very least. So there are a lot of considerations to make here. I don't think arriving here and getting the driver to rest for a night, I mean, that has implications for other passengers. So maybe not the best solution. But if you get to Joburg, just hire another driver who can pick up from Johannesburg and go to Harare. When they get to Harare, they can sleep. You can get them to drive back to Joburg, and whoever got the bus from Gqeberha to Joburg takes it back there with new passengers. I would think that's a better way to go about it. But yeah, it's quite something else, eh? That's a lot of hours, over 24, 25 hours. And the messages I'm getting here, people who've used these buses are saying, when they arrive in Joburg from Gqeberha, they're not even stopping. They drive straight into the highway. You are going to be exhausted. You're not at your best. And once again, even the second driver who's with you, who is sitting in the car, they are getting exhausted. So by the time they get on as the driver, behind the driver's seat, it's not helpful at all because they're still exhausted.
Morning, Clement Manyathela. Yeah, I'm listening to your program. It's very touching about this accident that just happened. The thing is, for all those buses that do Johannesburg to Harare or Johannesburg to Bulawayo, you're all in Zim, or when they're departing from Cape Town or PE or Durban, they always have 2 drivers. But the thing is, when the other driver is being relieved, the way he will be sleeping, you know, when you're sleeping on your seat seated, you don't actually get too well refreshed. So at the end of the day, by the time the other driver is tired and you wake up to relieve him, you know your body is still tired. And this route is very long. And like the other listener once said, you know, the road from, I can say from Petersburg, past all those Majuba tunnels to Messina, it is very, very bad. It needs to be improved. Thank you.
Hi, Clement. I think these buses, they must use the same process as the airlines, right? I mean, from here to Sydney, sure, it's almost like 2 days of flying. So there's always a relief pilot, and the other pilot, after a certain hours, because it's regulated, they need to go and sleep. So they've got sleeping quarters. So I believe that they should learn from the airlines. have beds at the back for the relief driver to be sleeping, and then after a specific hours of driving, then they swap. Then the other guy goes and sleeps, and so forth and so forth. It's quite easy, guys. This is not rocket science. Tato from Randburg.
Yeah, true. Just this thing can be managed, guys. It really can be. Another person on the WhatsApp line says Clement Tapo here in the UK. Even though it's smaller distances, drivers are swapped after 2 hours, and the new driver meets at a different location. They're not riding in the same bus. Virtually a 3-hour drive to London will be done by two drivers. There you have it. And of course, the circumstances here are different to what people in the UK are dealing with. But Seppo, thanks for sharing that experience from the UK. And I bet you safety is at the heart of why they've made an arrangement like this. So you've got drivers that are swapped after 2 hours, and they meet at different locations. So this is not someone who is in that bus with you, right? They're not riding in the same bus, which is helpful, because otherwise if you've got the same drivers in the same bus, they're both exhausted. And then Musa says, Clement, a few years ago, I used to travel between Durban and Midrand using one of the well-known bus companies. I can tell you, each time I got off in Midrand, the same driver would still be driving with the bus proceeding to Limpopo. That's a message from Musa in Kwatukuza. Another one says, hi, Clement, the N1 from Louis Trichard to Beitbridge was never for trucks during apartheid time, and the volume of trucks was less compared to now. There is an alternative road to Beitbridge, not the N1, but it's not in good condition. Thank you so much for that. Here's some more WhatsApp voice notes.
Good morning, Clement. One other disturbing factor about these buses and the accidents are our traffic enforcers, the traffic cops. These guys actually fight. I see them often on the N1. They fight to stop the bus. Hey, I saw him first. Hey, I saw him first. Because they demand a lot of money from these drivers driving unroadworthy buses at times. You can imagine a bus from Joburg to Beitbridge. How many times does he get stopped by different traffic officers? Each time he's being stopped, he must fork out a lot of money. It's a lucrative business for the traffic officers. They don't check for mistakes on the vehicle or whatever. All they want is money, money, money. And the bus is let to go. Whether it's overloaded, they don't give a hoot. All they want is money.
Hi, Clement. I mean, this thing, we do it even on the trains. You cannot have a driver driving from Johannesburg to East London or to PE. No. At a particular station, the driver from Joburg, he leaves the train, let's say for example, he leaves the train in Kroonstad. The drivers from Kroonstad, they take the train somewhere to Bloemfontein. Drivers from Bloemfontein, they take the train just like that. So I don't know why is it that they cannot just try to regulate it. I was once on the Intercape. I saw it like they reserve the back seat for the driver to sleep in. I don't know the other buses, but I was once on the Intercape. Yeah, they reserve the back seat for the driver to sleep. So on the train, that's how they do it. After certain stations, the driver leaves the train there, goes back to his home station, and then the other drivers, they take it from there, just like that. So they can also do that.
Forth and so forth.
Morning, Clement.
Guys, this is not.
I'm agreeing with this. I'm agreeing with this caller right now. There needs to be some sort of system like in an aeroplane. But also, let's take it further. The aeroplanes, they are inspected every trip. As soon as an aeroplane lands, it undergoes a major service. You understand? Why are we not doing that for our public transport? Why are we not doing that? Why are we not having Kodi ranking or wherever the bus depots are, an official who's going to check the roadworthiness of these cars before it's a man. Because come on, no. Man.
It's going up to 10 minutes before 10 o'clock. We're taking your calls on 011-883-0702. A lot of you sharing your thoughts around this tragic accident in Limpopo on the N1. It's been reported throughout today, these 40 passengers who were killed in this car accident happened on the N1. We're told that the bus was traveling from Gqeberha to Harare in Zimbabwe. A 10-month-old baby, one of those killed in this accident. It's so tragic. And yeah, once again, condolences to the families of the victims of this accident. But what's really coming out here is what's needed to change in these long distance travel, because an example that's been given is with airplanes. You know that there are protections that are put in place. People are extra cautious. You want to make sure that the drivers are alert. Someone from the UK sent us a message earlier and said, there in the UK, almost every 2 hours, there's a new driver that's going to come in, and that driver is not riding in the same bus. I've got a message now from Gabrielle, who is in Germany. Says, Clement, even here in Germany, they do the same. After 2 hours, drivers change over wherever the journey is in between your departure and arrival. So why can't we have a similar system here? Why do we not have a system where you don't have 2 or 3 drivers that are in the bus while their colleague is driving, and whenever the colleague is tired, then they take over, but rather have them fresh and ready to take over the next leg of the trip? I mean, would that be a lot in as far as admin is concerned? Just administering that and facilitating that doesn't sound like it would be a lot. So get somebody to drive up until Johannesburg, or 2 drivers, and then get another set of 2 drivers to come in and take over the next leg of the trip, because these are very, very, very long distance trips and you do need people to be alert. Otherwise, we end up in a situation where there are these accidents where a lot of people are killed, and we still don't know yet the circumstances of this accident, but it's really pointing to a number of scenarios. And I've been asking you, what changes do you think could work? How can we best transport people, right? Especially in this in the public transport system, or with this kind of mode of transport, like the buses. Is it best to have them change? Would that cost more for these bus companies? Would it cost more for these bus companies? But I would imagine that's a cost that's justified, given that you care about getting your passengers, your clients as a bus company, you care about getting them to their destinations safely, right?
Morning, Clement. The problem of that route, I know that route very well. It's a law enforcement. Even the bus is not in good condition, or a truck's not good condition, that is a making scheme road. Police subs or traffic cops, that is their road to make money. They are making a lot of money. They cannot do anything. They can't do anything. That route is a route of scammers. All those law enforcement that side are just making money. For all those buses, they're not roadworthy.
Yeah, it's wild. Let's go to your calls now on 011-883-0702. AB, you're calling us from Durban. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Clement. Firstly, let me just comment on the subject of this terrible bus tragedy. I was in a bus full of tourists a few weeks ago from Croatia to Bosnia. The driver had to sign in before he left at a police depot, traffic police depot. When we reached Bosnia, he was very afraid to drive back, because he was only allowed to drive for not more than 5 hours a day.
Yeah.
And a traffic cop could stop him and check, and he could be fined very heavily if he was caught out. Can I speak on another subject? Sorry to change the subject.
Yeah, sure.
I was just watching the circus at Tel Aviv airport. The war criminal from Washington who fully armed the genocide and repeatedly vetoed the UN ceasefire resolutions, just got off the plane and shook the bloody hand of the other war criminal who unleashed the Holocaust in Gaza. This is not a peace deal, Clement. It's a pause in the genocide. Mark my words, after the Israeli captives are released by Hamas, you can bet that Hamas will somehow be blamed for contravening the terms of this wishy-washy deal. And Trump will give the green light for the carnage to continue on an industrial scale. And wouldn't it be nice if Trump would fly from Tel Aviv to Gaza airport? Clement. Gaza International Airport was bombed by Israel in 2006. Finally, Clement, the Israeli captives will go home amidst great celebration. Palestinians have no homes to go to except to piles of rubble, which they will try to remove to find the bodies of their families murdered over the past 2 years. Thank you, Clement.
Well, maybe in Durban and KwaZulu-Natal, thank you for your thoughts. Donald Trump did say that he wants to go over to Israel. I think Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, invited him to come and address, I think, their parliament or the leaders there in government in Israel. So it looks like Donald Trump on the way to Israel already. But yeah, what we spoke about earlier is this peace deal. The phase one of this deal is supposed to kick off today, and the first phase has been agreed to by both Hamas and Israel. The hostages will be released today, according to that peace plan, and Israel will also be releasing some Palestinian political prisoners as well. What happens after this first phase? We wait and see. Remember, previously, we've seen the release of the hostages and the prisoners, so there was that exchange, and then after that, the peace deal couldn't hold. Israel continued with their mission in Gaza. What happens this time around? Will all of the hostages be released? And what happens after that release? What will be phase two of this plan? We wait and see. Archie, you calling us from Four Ways. Good morning. Hello, Archie. Hi, go ahead, brother.
Hi, Clement. Thank you for taking my call. It's my first time talking to you.
Welcome.
Actually thrilled. Yes, I need to put up a comment on this hot issue about the buses that are traveling these long distances. My thinking is we shouldn't have a bus that travel that long distance from, say, Eastern Cape to Zimbabwe. My suggestion is, why can't we have a bus that from Eastern Cape to Johannesburg, it ends there, people take another bus, transfer the luggage to a fresh bus that has been serviced and whatever, that has been checked. And that will reduce. I know the drivers, they are resting a lot because the interchange for every probably 300 kilometers, they are changing the drivers.
Mm-hmm.
Then my other issue is with the police, the traffic controllers on the road. If we have officers that only go around checking the papers and checking probably the validity of the permit and not checking the bus itself, it's always going to be a problem, because probably the drivers are forcing, just to make money, they are forcing to drive a bus that's not roadworthy. An issue, probably if you check on the dashboard, is reporting that the brakes are not in good condition or whatever. So should we have officers that are experienced to check the brakes, check whatever that needs to be checked on a bus before they leave the bus to proceed? That should help a lot.
Yeah. Well, Archie in Four Ways, thank you. Isaac, you're calling from Pretoria. I understand you're a bus operator. Good morning.
Morning, Clement.
Hey, Tada.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. As an operator, I used to operate within Harare sometimes. I stopped operating that road.
Oh, Isaac, the line is not good, my brother. I apologize for that. It's not good at all. So we'll try re-establish it, and hopefully if we've got a few more seconds, we can wrap up with that before we wrap up the 702 open line.
Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.